Well, hello, folks. Welcome back to Moontime Devotions. After a power outage almost took out our studio, we are back, fully operational, lights shining and all. So, despite the state of the world or the Panasonic tailspin that can get you caught in it, we're right up the Kings River and we're flowing through. Today, we have a very special guest by the name of Chipps, performer, poet, entertainer, and musician. And we're really looking forward to you tuning in and watching what he has to say. So stay tuned and don't go nowhere. And don't touch that dial. Well, Chipps, thank you so much for coming onto the show. I appreciate you coming here. Your time is valuable, and so I suppose
very happy to be here.
We'll just get back right on it. I'm glad that you're happy to be here. You know, as I said before the camera's rolling, not too many people like to show up on the Moontime Devotions. It's it's just a beginner's kind of TV show. As I said, my grandfather did start this back in 1905. It was word of mouth, actually, way back then. Then it was on the radio for a little spills. Nevertheless, for the modern age, we wanted to reinvent it, and so I put it on YouTube. So if I may start, what got you into music? What started you in this?
I mean, honestly, it's kind of a long story. I've always been a huge fan of music. Growing up, some of my core memories were, I grew up in Seattle for about 8 years of my life. I lived there, and it's pretty hazy, thinking back. But one thing I do distinctly remember a lot was hearing the 90s hip-hop radio station that we'd always be listening to in the car. So a lot of my earliest music memories are just a lot of the classics, like 90s rap, and I just really, even to this day, I love myself rap, even though I myself don't really rap. It just kind of got me really in love with music, and then I guess I didn't really understand that I loved music though until my teens or something like that. And I never really actually gave it a shot until I was 16, 17, 18-ish, I'd say, around that time, because I didn't really have a whole lot of free time. I was a track and field kid. I did martial arts all through high school, and then all of a sudden COVID happened and everything shut down. And I was oh, I have a lot of free time. So with that free time, I pretty much just started slowly chipping away, just trying my hand at producing stuff that I thought sounded cool. I also was very inspired by my dad's taste. My dad's taste was a little bit more on the rock side, a little bit more poppy side. My mom's taste was a little bit more on the R&B, hip-hop side. And so I like to think that my music's kind of a fusion of my parents' tastes together in this one kind of stuff, or whatever you want to call it. And it was COVID that I just started throwing shit together on BandLab, and at first it was pretty garbage. It was very low quality. I would just be putting it out on YouTube, and I wouldn't even be putting it out on Spotify or Apple Music, and I didn't even know how to at the time. But in 2022, after a few years of conjuring up people from around the internet, I did a lot of e-collaborating, email with a bunch of artists that I met through Instagram, and I managed to put together my first album, which was called Cooper, and it's still available on services, but it's not much of an album. It's kind of more just a compilation of a bunch of the songs that I worked on from 2019 to 2020, 2021. That's kind of where it started, and then from there it was just for a while I actually didn't think I was going to ever touch music again. Once I came to college, I kind of hit a rock of I don't know what to do or what direction to go. And also I just felt so busy and overwhelmed with college and low-key not doing great at OSU for a while. So there was a big hiatus of a few years from 2022 to 2024 where I really wasn't doing a whole lot of anything with music. I might as well not have even been an artist at that point. And then a man named Pope Cyrus VII, he's a rapper-producer from Corvallis. Him and I just kind of connected one day, and we went to the same freshman dorms together, but we weren't friends, but we hit each other up a year later after we moved out and had our own spaces. And he came over one night, and he stayed hours, like in the morning, and he was listening to all my like vaulted stuff and like stuff that I refused to show to people. And he was like, dude, there's some potential here. I'm gonna like try to get your confidence back and like get you to put out a project with me. And so for the next like year, him and I pretty much were just like making music together. A lot of it was him producing it and then me singing on it and then him mixing and mastering it together to create stuff. So a lot of it was him in that Oregon Bunny era, which is my most recent album. And he's featured on one of the tracks, but I mean, I'm very, very grateful for that man because he brought my like want and like courage to do music back from like the darkness that it was in. And then, I mean, since then, him and I have kind of gone our own separate directions creatively and artistically, and just also, I just don't really hear from him very often anymore, but yeah, I guess that was a really long answer, but like, that's kind of like the history of like how I was into music, not into it, and then really into it again, and now I'm here just kind of still keeping up the momentum.
Absolutely. Wow, that's awesome. That's really, really cool. I'm curious, do you think it was easier to make music when you were, at a low spot, like in your life, versus now? Or is it easier now to do that expression?
I would say, honestly, probably now, just because a lot of it was also, like, I was living in dorms for, like, a year when I was at OSU, and a lot of that was difficult to do. I actually don't really remember recording hardly anything while I was in the dorms. I think I made like a song in the dorms, but yeah, I think it was a lot more difficult when I didn't have my own space to live in and kind of privacy, and like I really needed my like zen, to be able to make music. And like I said, Cyrus coming out of the blue and kind of giving me that courage really, really boosted me forward. So I would say it was a lot easier kind of after he gave me the courage and like I wasn't in such a tough spot. So, and it also just like as of the last year and a half, like I've been like very inspired by like all of the just local music scene that has given me love, and I've done my best to give them love back and like just kind of like look at what they're doing and like, just get inspired and keep on going.
So, it's not easy making music when you're in a roommate situation, right? Like, I used to have a roommate, and every time I'd even play the music too loud, they'd be knocking on the wall next door. I said, go around, there's no door there. So, yeah, I can understand that. That's really cool that you've found a place, though, to do so. Now, how did you go about getting your own place so that you could create this environment?
At first, my first year of being out of the dorms, like when I was 19, I was actually just in like a little apartment complex, actually on 9th Street in Corvallis. And it was all right, but I was living with some like 30-year-old, 40-year-old men in the upstairs, and I was the only one downstairs. It was a really nice apartment, but they had a lot of issues with me. I made too much noise for them. I had lots of friends over, it was just not, like one time, I remember distinctly one of them came down the stairs like 3 in the morning and like yelled at me. He was like, you need to leave me alone and turn down your music and go to bed. And I was just like everyone, like he came down and there was like 5 people and he yelled at me and like.
You ain't my daddy?
Yeah.
Get out of here, man.
Exactly. It was just crazy, but it was also, I kind of understood at the same time, so I haven't always been the best at like reading my surroundings, but after that, I was not able to continue living there after about a year because they wouldn't let me renew because everyone had complaints about me. So I had to move out, and I very, very last minute, it was like my last week before I was going to get evicted from that apartment, I reached out to some guys on like this app called the Roomies app, and I found a house, and it was the house on Harrison, and I was like their last person that they needed to move in to like have the, the 5 people be able to like manage the bill, because it's a pretty expensive house when, only 1 or 2 people are there.
Sure.
It's like, $4,000 a month.
Expensive town.
Yeah, of course. I mean, but when you split it down to 5 guys, it's a little more manageable, like $800 a month. Like, all right, that's fine as long as they have a stable income and stuff. And honestly, Yeah, I mean that's kind of where I got to where I am now with the Harrison house, and then all of the like the OG roommates that have been there for years recently moved out, so I'm the OG now. Like I'm the one who, yeah, I guess is like welcoming in all the new guys to the house that are moving in here in the next like month, which very nervous about, but I guess we'll see.
Are you guys like a fraternity, or?
It's literally just like a house that's just rented out. It's not a fraternity, no. I am near the frat row though, and the sorority houses. Like I am literally like maybe a 30-second walk from one of them, so I'm in a very hot spot, prime location to have a house party.
Okay, there we go. Does it get pretty wild at these house parties?
One or two of them have been. Honestly, the last one was a bit of a dud. It was the August 16th show, and honestly, I kind of expected that, partially because middle of the summer, you know, it's Corvallis, it's a
Students are
college
gone.
town, exactly. So I wasn't really having crazy high hopes. Second off, I was actually suspended on Instagram for like almost a month, and
Is that what happened? Okay. How the hell did that happen?
yeah, so Meta in the beginning of 2025, like the parent company of Facebook and Instagram, they decided to lay off like 20,000 like admin moderators, like moderate their site and stuff, and like check pages to make sure they're like following the TOS and stuff. They laid them all off and replaced them with AI in order to save money. And AI has been acting up like a lot, like millions of accounts have been falsely banned like permanently. And I was lucky to be one of them who only got suspended, but I finally got my account back on a random day after like 3.5 weeks, and I was like, God bless. I did not want to have to rebuild. And it also like, for some reason, kind of like phone banned me. So like when I tried to make a new account, it would be like, oh, you're impersonating an account that we suspended because it violated our community guidelines. So we're going to ban this one too. So I couldn't even go on to Facebook or Instagram. So I was glad that I got it back eventually, because I mean, I really worked hard on that Instagram profile, but yeah, like, yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, what do you think about AI just in general, especially when it like pertains to like making music? Do you think AI is a helpful tool for musicians to use, or?
I have very complex thoughts, honestly, with AI. It's like, unfortunately, there are a lot of streaming services that are not doing enough to combat, you know, AI, like fully AI music, like music that people like write down a prompt and then gives them a song and they just post that song on Spotify. Unfortunately, Spotify is allowing that to happen a lot, actually. Like, there's a humongous band on Spotify called like, I don't even know, some weird generic country name, and they have like 300,000 monthly listeners. All of their covers, all of their songs, they aren't real. It's fully AI. It's like algorithmic music. It's like, and you can kind of tell when you like listen, it's like, this is kind of like too perfect. You know what I mean? It's like a little too perfect. It doesn't really sound human. And I hate it when people do that, where it's like they just are literally not even trying, and then replacing the effort with AI and putting in prompts and saying, oh, well, I was creative with the prompt. No. However, I will say there are a few times where AI, I think, is acceptable to use in music. Like, for example, JPEG Mafia used AI very prominently, actually, in his recent I Lay My Life Down For You album. He actually used AI to make a fake sample, like a fake radio-sounding, like gospel sample in the background. But this was only a tiny portion of the beat. It wasn't like the entire thing was like an AI beat. It was just like the sample that played in the background. He still did the drums, he still did the synth, he still did the piano, he still rapped over it. But he just kind of added that little layer that was AI created because he couldn't find a sample that he wanted to use that sounded like the way he wanted it to sound. So he made an AI make one for him. And I think when you do things like that, where it's like you're kind of then twisting it into your own creation and not just, oh, AI gave me this, I'll just post that. When you're twisting
Sure.
the AI's creation into something of your own and like really putting some more effort behind it, I can kind of respect it then, especially with, you know, artists like JPEG Mafia, who like, you know, I mean, he's been around for like ever. And he's one of those artists that I definitely really look up to. I mean, in his old Devon Hendrix days, he was like getting 30 to 100 views on his most popular songs now. And it's crazy to see that like in 15 years he has like become a huge alternative hip hop like figure. But anyway, I'm cutting you sidetrack now.
That's okay. No, I love to hear all about it. No, seriously. Probably turn that off. People texting me non-stop. Well, when it comes to AI, you know, there's a lot of like independent artists, you know, like yourself that may have a limited accessibility to musicians. And so, you know, do you think AI will, because of that, do you think AI will take over platforms like Fiverr and like other, you know, where you can hire musicians?
Unfortunately, I think that's already been happening, like largely. I don't know, I think that like, unfortunately AI has like really invaded like the internet in like almost every single corner at this point. The dead internet theory is becoming real, where it's like, oh, you can't even hardly tell anymore if you're speaking to a real person when you're messaging a new Instagram account, it feels like. And I feel like, unfortunately, like, I think a lot of people are going to be using these AI features more prominently in their music, but I really, really think that just relying on AI and not your own ability or like training yourself and even in whatever situation you may be in, you know, all it really takes is a crappy laptop to start making some music. Hell, not even that, your iPhone. You could start with GarageBand. You could start with freaking flip phone. You could start with a $30 phone from freaking Verizon store. You know, like you could really, really do things if you train yourself and like, you know, learn how to do it. And what's cool is that the AI can be really helpful in situations like this. Like you can send your song to an AI and you can be like, hey, how can I make this song sound, you know, more upbeat, or how do I make this layer sound more clear in the mix? And it'll give you tips and tell you how you can do that and like kind of teach you how to use your DAW. But I don't like it when, you know, it's like you're just using that and not using your own creativity.
Just type in a word and then it just, makes a song.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
What do you think about people profiting off that? Like, you know, I mean...
It's literally like I was just saying about the whole Spotify not doing enough thing. Spotify has slowly became, well, in the last like 2 years, they have like solidified themselves as an absolute garbage like force in the music industry. And it's really, really sad because they are the most popular music service out there. Like it is by far and large the most popular, used by everyone of all age groups. And they kind of just let whoever the fuck and whatever the fuck onto that platform. There's almost no moderation at all with their music. They don't even label if the song is AI or not, which a bunch of other streaming services have already gone on their way to be like, okay, if we're gonna have AI music on our service, we're gonna label it and like say on the song, like this is an AI song, just so that people know, like this is not a human. Spotify has not done that at all. And they're letting people profit off of this. Like people are earning hundreds, thousands of dollars off of using their AI.
Almost using other people's ideas, but straight up ripping them off, not like, you know, being influenced or, you know, copying them.
To me, it's just like defeatism and like not having any self-confidence in your own abilities and like wanting to grow and actually be good. It's like you just want to have results right away and not actually work towards it. And it's like, okay, like I get it, I've been there before, but like you have to work towards it. And trust me, it'll feel so much better once you get there if you know that you've genuinely, honestly worked towards that. That's where I stand with that.
So I want to know, how hard has it been being a musician, you know, like self-made musician, just like going out here and making a legacy for yourself?
Honestly, it is a very difficult task. Like I said, like for a while, my Instagram, even when I had some music out, it was a very blank page. I had no profile picture. I had like maybe one post. I had like 800 followers as recent as like a year and a half ago. And in that year and a half, like in this last year especially, I have gained nearly 5,000 followers, and I did that by just constantly and sometimes aggressively applying myself to everyone and everything around me. And I have made a lot of enemies through that. I mean, people don't always love to have art shoved in their face. Like, it's just the facts. And you know, like I was telling you over the voice messages, I have been banned from multiple venues. Multiple spots have been like, yo, we don't mess with you. We heard rumors and we don't care if they're true or not. We're just gonna go and blacklist you. And like, I get that from like a business standpoint, like it makes sense, but at the same time, it is unfortunate.
But I mean, your business too. I mean, that's the crazy thing about it.
That is the unfortunate part. So like, making a legacy has been very difficult just because sometimes it's hard to escape labels that have been put onto you, but I think the important part is to just keep your head up and keep on going. You know, if you've got at least one fan, it's worth it, even if that fan is yourself. Like, that's the way I see it. You know, even if you have the whole world against you, if you think that you have something to give out, like artistically, I think you should go all in. And I mean, that's what I've been trying to do. I never thought that I'd get signed to a modeling agency, and a month and a half ago, I sent in a bunch of random photos I took in the mirror of myself, and not even a day later, they're calling me over to Portland to do like an in-person like shooting with them, like interview shooting. I do that. A day later, actually like 16 hours later, I get an email. They're like, hey, can we do like a Zoom call and like talk about the specifics here? And I was like, okay. And they're like, hey, I think we're gonna want to sign you, and do you think you can like get a passport so you can like go out of the country and do shoots with us and stuff, like other than just LA? And I was like, what? This is insane. So like things like that, like relating to the music industry, it's like just putting yourself out there, just trying, even when like I never thought I would make any of those kind of qualifications, is like really important. And like I think it's better to just do it instead of just like in 10 years look back and be like, damn, I kind of wish I did that. Or like I wish I gave it a shot, and like look around you and kind of be jealous or something, you know? That's the way I kind of see it, like in the big broad picture of things, is like I just want to give it my all now when I have this spunk and energy and youngness in myself.
Yeah, no, this is the time to do it, I would say. I was going to say that what we call in the show, it's called love, action, productivity, and it's applying yourself. You know, it's doing what you need to do to advocate for yourself, but, you know, make a presence known, make your name known. And I think you're very much doing that. It's part of the reason why I wanted you on the show, because not too many people are out there taking, the risk. Because it's a risk to put yourself out there and to perform and to create an artistic style of your own, because we live in a world of stereotypes, you know?
We're kind of living in like this new era of just music making in general, where the technology is being advanced so quickly. There's always new plugins, there's always new DAW updates and new things to learn with a new program that like has a whole new sound and stuff. And like you can do just about everything that you used to be able to do, like have to do like in a studio, pretty much all on a laptop now. Like you can do basically everything in like one little workstation if you want. And I'm trying to expand my workstation. Like I plan on buying a keyboard, a beat maker, like one of those thingies, and a bunch of other things. Like I also need to get a mixer for my headset and stuff. Not headset, my mic and stuff like that. So I'm still working on making my sound more professional. But a big thing that I've really been noticed is that it's really easy now to become a good artist. Like it is very easy to make good music. Like it is pretty simple actually. The thing that will make you stand out now is you have to be extraordinary. You have to have something brand new to bring to the table. You have to have your own brand, your own aesthetic, your own vibe. And I'm still kind of trying to find that a little bit, but I think I'm kind of starting to like hone in on this kind of dreamy, ethereal, otherworldly kind of sound that I've been like really focusing in on. And that kind of being my brand, and then of course also just being like this open space, the Harrison House, to just host all kinds of music and just kind of mesh together everything and have a good time. So it's like, yeah.
Nice. What genre or genres would you say your music falls into? If you could put it, some kind of influence on
I would say like R&B / like experimental pop with a little bit of like hip hop influence. But like I don't ever rap. If you ever hear songs of mine where there's someone rapping, it is always a feature. Because I just don't rap. Like I don't know.
No, I've heard I heard your new single, You Told Me.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're singing, and it's, yeah.
Yeah, I do the hook, and then my friend Sad Bear does a verse, and she has a beautiful voice, and it really, really matches well with mine, actually. I really think that we have good chemistry. We've already put out 2 singles, and we're like considering doing a collab tape. But, you know, we'd have to see if we can keep on making more music at this rate.
Absolutely. Do you think you're ever going to quit making music? Or do you think you'll do it for the rest of your life? It's a big question, but curious.
I think it depends on like what life holds in the future. Like if I decide to, get married, have a wife and kids, and like really dedicate myself to that, then I think it would really slow down, probably to a halt at some point. But like right now and for the foreseeable future, especially with just the fact that like I'm a little bit starting to like rise up, I'm not just a completely unknown artist anymore. I've been added to editorial playlists before on Spotify now. My songs are now getting hundreds of streams a day, and so I'm really just trying to like keep that momentum going for as long as I can. I'm trying to like release single after single, project after project right now. I've been working on music almost every single day for like the last 5 months, just because I just have this newfound confidence. And another big thing that I haven't touched on is, me and beginning to perform live shows. So I've always had stage fright all my life.
Yeah, I was going to say, how was that transition?
I don't even know how I did it. I like to think that my freshman year of being hooked on kind of TMI, but I had a phase freshman year because I had very helicopter parents throughout high school, middle school, elementary, whatever. And I didn't really go out party at all. I didn't ever try drugs, like at all, until
That's
I
not
was
a bad
18.
thing.
Yeah. So my first time touching a blunt was when I was 18. My first time having a swig of wine was when I was 18. And I kind of had a moment freshman year of college when I was totally, on my own, freedom and shit, so exciting, where I low-key got hooked onto shrooms, LSD. I mean, I was doing some crazy stuff, and I thought that I was like God and just like seeing all these crazy visions. But it also really did, I think, change my like brain chemistry greatly, because after that, I was able to not really give a fuck if I was like getting humiliated just in front of people. Like it was almost like kind of funny for myself and like entertaining. And so then I kind of just was like, okay. One day I went to an open mic, and it was an open mic at like some bar in Corvallis, and I just tried out a couple songs, and everyone was dancing, having a great time to it, and I was like, that was the best high I've ever felt, like performing. I'm just gonna keep on doing this, and so I just kept on trying to get more and more gigs, and I've only really started like getting booked this last like year, like August of like last year is like when I really started getting these bookings. So within a year, I've gotten almost 30 shows, which is absolutely crazy. I mean, I've just been absolutely blessed and very grateful for like the opportunities I've been granted. So, I mean, I'm still nervous all the time, like before, especially, like I'm always sweaty and I'm always like, oh shit, I don't know how I'm gonna start, I don't know what kind of presence I should give off. And I honestly still do stutter up on stage, I still have little mistakes and stuff, but I've just kind of learned to like fake it till you make it. It's all about just like giving everyone energy. Like you try not to be boring. Just like amp everyone up. Like, hey, are y'all having a good night tonight, Corvallis? Just like really like be booming and just like get people to interact with you. Engage with the audience has been something, and a lot of that came from me watching other people perform at Corvallis and like seeing how they went about it and like how they got their audience engaged and standing up and clapping and dancing. Because it's more than just sitting there and performing your songs. It's also, there's a lot to like the performing arts. But yeah, I mean, it's still a learning thing. I'm still no, great jester yet. But I hope to be someday. I mean, I love it. It is, like I said, a high that I've never experienced. And also, FYI, I am much, much over my psychedelics addiction. It's been years.
Well, we do all kinds of things to open up our minds. It's just part of life, I would say. What about spirituality? Are you a Christian or into Buddhism? Or?
So growing up, I was a Catholic, so part of the Christian sect. My parents were just, raised Catholic, and so was me and my brothers. And by the way, I have 2 younger brothers, so I'm the oldest of 3. And around the time of like 14, 15-ish, I just kind of realized internally, like, I don't really believe in any of this. Like, it just never really clicked. I guess I just never understood, like, why are we worshiping this book? It has a lot of contradictions and hateful things in it, although it's supposed to be an accepting for everyone, text. And, like, I don't know. A lot of it was just, like, also, I wasn't, like, getting really anything out of it, I felt like, if you want to do something, it's on you. You don't pray to someone to make something happen for you. You got to take the steps to get there. It's all about, self-improvement. And I've always kind of just believed in, like, at the end of the day, all you have is you, and, like, that's something to, you have to, like, really realize. And if for some people, God fills that void of, like, determination and courage that they need, by all means. Like, I'm not judging anyone who is religious. I think that it's a beautiful thing, but it can also be a very violent thing. If we look at the Middle East, they have been at war for, centuries because they disagree about, the Holy Land and who it belongs to.
Israel.
Exactly. Anyway,
Yeah.
That's a whole debate. But anyway, like, that's an example to me of, like, how religion can really just, in my opinion, superficially split us all apart. And, like, really, it's not, in my opinion, like, it should never be used as an excuse to harm anybody in any way or, like, devoid them of their human rights. I really don't think that that's right, or, like, putting other people down. Like, homophobia is never warranted, in my opinion, or, transphobia, all that stuff. But I will say, like, I really love being a part of my Catholic youth group. We would meet every Sunday, and I did, like, a church school thing. We even went to San Diego for, like, a youth group mission trip for, like, 10 days one of the years, and we were required not to bring any phones or devices, and it was actually one of the best trips of my life. It was just a lot of fun. So I've met some amazing friends that I'm still in contact with today through, Catholicism, but at the same time, I don't really truly believe in it, so I wouldn't call myself religious. I'm very much like a atheist, but I feel like I am still spiritual in a way. Like, I still believe that there might be something. I don't know, but I don't know. I guess that's my answer, is like, I don't know,
That's very fair. Yeah, considering your upbringing and everything. I mean, do you think like, just in a group of people, you can be spiritually fulfilled without any religious influence or title or label?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, that Catholic youth group, like I said, that was just like one of the many friend groups that I had back in high school. I was kind of like the floater guy, so I was just kind of floating from group to group. I mean, I was in the track and field friend group, and then I was floating over to the martial arts friend group, and then I was floating over to, like, the gamer guys friend group who also hacked video games, and I got into modding games, and I was like the kid who did it all. I was a sport kid, I was a gamer, I was a book nerd, I sucked at math, I sucked at number stuff, and I still do. I feel like a lot of creatives do suck with, like, some sort of technical something, though. I feel like where we're great in one thing, it's like we're really bad in, like, the exact opposite thing. It's like a yin-yang thing, where it's like, I'm amazing at writing, I'm horrible at math. Like, I'm still doing, like, end of high school math shit right now. So it's like,
Yeah, right there with you. No, it's very true.
I just graduated from Math 105 here. It's like,
Hey, man, that's a good thing. Well, the curriculum's changed too, so that
That's
has
true.
something to do with it, I'm sure.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm right there with you with math. Mathematics have never been a strong suit of mine.
Oh, and
honestly.
chemistry? Oof. I cannot do that.
No.
It doesn't make sense to me. Like, the weird number stuff has never really clicked, even though it's supposed to. Like, it's supposed to be exact and perfect, and it should work, but I just can't memorize. That's a big thing, is my memory's never been the greatest.
Sure. Yeah, I'm as good as chemistry as, putting a Crystal Light package into a water bottle. There you go. That's what I would say is chemistry.
Yeah.
Hey, there we go. Sugar.
Chemical reaction.
Chemical reaction of some sort. Yeah. Interesting. You ever consider getting into acting?
I mean, I think that with my contract with the options agency that I just signed and became like a part of their new faces, models and stuff.
Congratulations, by the way. That's awesome.
Thank you. I'm proud, but I'm also really intimidated because I don't even know, like, what the hell's going to happen. And I've also told them, you can do whatever you want with my body and like make it look however you guys need to for whatever brand deals. And they've already said they want to do a lot with my hair, so I'm a little scared with that. Like, I don't want to look crazy, but...
shape you around like Play-Doh.
Yeah, for real. Like, I'm a little scared for what that all entails, but from what I've heard, I might be doing some acting, because they also, like, do deals with, like, companies in Hollywood and companies that do, like, commercials and stuff, so I could slowly be getting myself into that, but I've actually had a dream of being an actor since I was little, but honestly, I think as I matured and like kind of, you know, as of recently, I think I've really fallen more in love with just, you know, being a musician and performing live. You know, like I look up to people who just like are always performing and, you know, doing big tours and stuff, and I think that's such a cool thing. Like I would love to get on a tour bus and go across America someday, or like Europe or anywhere, you know, just like, it sounds like such a fun concept. And I don't know if you heard, but I've been trying to actually expand Chipps. I want it to become more than just a solo act. I'm trying to make this a band.
Absolutely. Try to bring as many people as you can in, you know, artists, collaborators. That's really cool, you know. It's not always that way. Sometimes people, you know, they're really focused and they focus too much on their own career versus, you know, understanding that bringing others is what's gonna push the career up. Going.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I love being a solo artist and being able to say like, being able to sometimes be braggadocious and be like, man, it's crazy to think like I am larger than like 5 of your average Corvallis bands put together. It's kind of crazy, kind of intimidating, but I want to also like be the frontman and like creator of a band and like to really start something that I can like share with others and like kind of create a friend group out of it, you know. It's always been a dream of mine to be in a band, you know, singing and stuff, and so I want to make that happen eventually, but it's been kind of a slow process. Like, I have a couple people interested in the group chat, but we've all kind of been missing each other with, like, you know, doing a meet and greet day and, like, you know, actually bouncing ideas off each other, so it's kind of been in, like, a standstill for, like, a month and a half, but I hope that in the next, like, I don't know, year, something happens, some movement. But we'll see, you know, nonetheless, I'll still be making stuff on my own. I still have that drive, but I would love to be able to, you know, have some assistance, because it is a big toll on myself too. Like, I'm promoting myself, I'm hanging out my own flyers around town, I am doing my own booking, I am doing my own everything. Like, I'm reaching out to producers, reaching out to editorial playlist curators, I'm you know, like all the shit, it's all on me, so, yeah.
Man. I'm glad that you're still going for it. I'm glad that you haven't gave up or that you've quit. You know, you've been through some hardship trying to get this all started. You know, there's a quote that I remember when I was younger. My teacher taught me. He said, and it's from a jazz musician, but he said, "It takes courage to be happy." And I feel like that's what you're doing. You know, it takes courage to do what you're doing, because not only are you making your art, but you're finding feasible means to, you know, make a living off it. And that's it's quite remarkable.
To be frank, though, I'm not making a living off of any of what I'm doing, like, artistically right now. I'm not making
yet.
any money. No, I'm not making shit. Like, literally, I don't know if you know, but streaming services hardly pay you for streams. It is minuscule. Like, in my entire lifetime of releasing music, and I can, like, check on DistroKid and show you exactly, I've probably only made, like, maybe $200, but that's, like, in the past 7 or 5 years of, like, having music, you know, releasing it out. So it's like, I'm not really making any sustainable income. And that's, again, spread out over 5 years, $200, just from streaming royalties. So it's not much at all. It's like chump change when it really comes down to it. It's like a couple bucks a month. But I work as a DSP. I'm a direct support professional. I have a big passion for, you know, helping people with disabilities. My little brother actually has a couple behavioral disabilities, and I've just, the last 4 years, I've gotten job after job and kind of worked my way up, working with adults with IDDs, and I'm now working with these 2 boys who are brothers here in Corvallis, and they both have very high behavioral needs, and I work along with their father to kind of be like an extra nanny, and you know, I don't work very often. It's like 2 days a week. I'm paid very handsomely though, and I'm very proud that I've gotten this kind of gig, because then it gives me a lot of free time to be able to do music and, you know, other stuff during the weekdays. Like right now, I wouldn't be here if I had any other kind of job, like a 9 to 5.
Very true. Wow, that's awesome. It's, giving back a little bit as well, to the needy. What about like, mental illness? Do you have any mental illnesses or?
I mean, I do honestly think I'm somewhere on the spectrum. I mean, I've been diagnosed with severe ADHD/ADD since I was like in first grade. I've been on the methylphenidate for most of my life, like that pill that kind of most people cracks them out. For people like me, it just makes them act normal, or as normal as can be.
Yeah.
I don't know if you consider ADHD, ADD to be a mental illness or not, but I mean, whatever. But I wouldn't say I necessarily have like a direct, I guess, stereotypical learning disability or like just mental illness or disability like that. But like I said, I have a brother who I've lived with my whole life, who kind of started developing that in the last like 7-8 years, and it was a lot to adjust to and be around and kind of learn to be gentle with, and I'm really grateful for that because I've gotten to then shape that gentle presence into all aspects of my life with everybody, and I think it's very beneficial.
That's always vital, learning how to communicate with, all kinds of different minds. Everyone's got a different mind. They come into this planet with what they got, and I've got bipolar and like manic depression, so that's my.
I do have pretty severe depression as well. I take like 300 milligrams a day of like antidepressants, so I'm on this stuff, but I think I've been slowly fighting it off, especially with the music stuff. It's helped a lot, giving me like purpose. I think that was the big problem for a while.
You think it was a problem of like expressing yourself or vocalizing just in general?
I mean, for a long time, I think my depression was at a really bad point because I just didn't feel like I had a direction. Like, what am I going to do with my life? Like, what am I going to be? What am I going to become? I don't know. I'm overwhelmed. Everyone seems to have it figured out, but not me. And I'm just like aimlessly wandering around. And then I started, intensely going to therapy for like a year and a half. I just recently, stopped doing therapy because my antidepressants have really kicked in and helping a lot. And I have a decent support system in place as well. But therapy is a beautiful thing. I truly recommend it to anyone.
Twice a week for me.
Hell yeah, brother.
Mm-hmm.
Cheers to that. I mean, yeah, I would say, just keeping on with like mental health. I mean, mental health is such a huge crisis, and I think it needs to be highlighted so much more than it currently is. I think so many people rush it aside and make excuses on why we aren't putting more money into those services in America. Because then you see, school shootings happen, and you're like, the core of it is these people's mental health, period.
People never got the help they needed. It's a shame. What do you think about our generation? Me and you are both Gen Zs. Gen Zers. I like to say I'm a Gen Z veteran.
Well, you're on like the tip end of Gen Z, right? Like almost millennial?
I was born 98.
Okay.
So I just barely.
Yeah, just barely out of the millennial. Thank God. No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
I mean, this generation's been something else. I mean, we're supposed to save the planet, apparently. So that's a big duty, obviously. But I think I've been very impressed overall, actually. I've seen some of the most insane music that I think have ever graced Earth come from Gen Z. I mean, I think that there are so many creative minds and so many problem solvers that are coming out of this generation, especially because like we kind of grew up, some of us on the internet, some of us not, some of us in and out, and like I think that we kind of like us having that experience kind of like got us very acquitted to the modern world, a little bit more so than I feel like a couple past generations have been. Then again, I can't necessarily speak for them completely. But I mean, I think this generation's been pretty amazing overall. Like, yeah, we have our cringe shit and edginess and like brain rot crap, but I think that's just with every generation has their own memes and moments and shit that they find funny that nobody else does,
Exactly. Yeah. No, I think Generation Z is more sensitive. more
That is definitely true. It is a
accepting.
lot more sensitive, but I also think it is more accepting, like you just said. Yeah, I think it's more inclusive. I think that that's a good thing. I think that we should just be more, I guess, careful and but also just include everybody in. Obviously, America was built on discrimination, and so a lot of, I feel like what Gen Z's been trying to do is kind of unravel that whole yarn that's been spun up around, the pole.
It's a good take. I appreciate that. Yeah, being one of Gen Z. I think we're part of the greatest generation ever. We're just not silent. We're loud, and that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think we're going to make any strides towards social justice or reform?
I feel like low-key we have been a little bit. Maybe not as much as we could be, but I think that there have been so many young people in this generation, like Greta Thunberg, the climate activist young lady. She's been doing monumental things, and she's such a young voice, and she has so many people backing her up, fighting for climate change and awareness that guys, this is not a fucking joke. Our planet will be gone in 30 years if we do not full on river stuff, And it's stuff like that does need to be that's our duty. We have to be in all ways we can yelling it, we have to be spreading that. We have to be, on everyone. We have to, because, what? Do you not care about your children and children's children? Then you're just selfish,
Did you, were you born somewhere else, or?
So I was born in Puyallup, Washington, which is a little ways outside of Seattle. I lived there for about 8-ish years, and I think I started a little bit talking about this, how listened to a lot of the 90s hip-hop station in Seattle. But around the age of 8, we moved to the Beaverton, Hillsboro kind of area of Oregon, which is a little bit outside of Portland, 20 minutes out, and kind of just stayed there most of my life. I've done a good amount of traveling. Unfortunately, I've never been out of the country, which I really, really want to. I just don't have a passport yet. But yeah, I've been in Oregon. I love Oregon. I think it's pretty cool. Unfortunately, it's kind of becoming the next California, but yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone's moving up, which is just, yeah.
Yeah, overcrowded, or?
Yeah, it's just also you're seeing, I feel like you see more and more people at OSU and LVCC that are oh, I'm from the Bay Area. Oh, I'm from LA. It's just, I feel like it's more and more and more every year than compared to 3 years ago even. It's just such a common stance, common hometown now feels that I hear from people, which, no hate to, LA and Cali, and I have my own love for Cali. I think it's a cool state. Is it overwhelming? Absolutely. But it is the entertainment capital of the West Coast, so it is a staple.
Well, I bring all this up because I'm curious, do you think you'd have the same opportunities, or you'd go down the same path if you were born somewhere else besides Oregon?
That is a great question. I have no idea. Honestly, I like to think that I would still be where I am right now, but if I'm being honest, I don't think I would be. If I had grown up in LA, I think that I would have been constantly looking up and feeling like I'm in the shadow of all these other people and all these other influencers and people who are coming up and, doing what I'm doing now. And I'd probably just not put myself out there as much, because I think, I could never do that, because I'd be constantly comparing myself, because I feel like that's sometimes an inescapable thing, comparing, even though, yes, it's the thief of joy. I think that as an artist, sometimes that competition and the, urge of perfectionism, I gotta be better, I gotta be better, I gotta be better, is always kind of in the back of your head. And so I feel like growing up in a place like LA, where there's so many creatives, there's so many ideas, it's almost oversaturated. Well,
so exposed to everything,
Exactly. I think it would have probably definitely changed my attitude towards wanting to even try. I probably wouldn't have, if I'm being real. Same with if I grew up in New York or something.
You ever get writer's block when you're making music?
Definitely, yeah. I think that commonly that happens to me, honestly, and what I usually do is, and I don't tell a lot of people this, but I actually usually don't even write out my music. I actually do a lot of it in one takes, or I kind of do like the Kanye method of like mumbling over the beat and like kind of finding my flow, and then
That's awesome.
and then kind of like re-listening over and over and over, and then I just kind of like for instance, this most recent single, You Told Me, none of that was written on either of our verses. It was never written down anywhere. It's literally just like we listened to it, we spit out some stuff. There were some, not so good takes, obviously, but like we kind of found our flow and rhythm, and then we were like, oh, maybe we should have it say this, and like we re-recorded, saw how that sounded, and hey, I think we can re-record that, have some more energy, try it again, and then that was just kind of how my music process went, honestly, just across the board. I don't really write a lot, and that's also because I just don't feel like I have the need to, because I am not a rapper. I don't feel the need to like write bar for bar rhymes and stuff. And I purposely try to come at songs in a bit of a different way than like a typical artist would, I feel like. Like I try to like find unique flows or like little divots and pockets that like are like earworms, and I try to like really hone in on that.
For sure. Okay, so it's just
But
on
yeah,
the moment.
I do get writer's block often. When I do that, like when I do have writer's block, what I do is sometimes I just take a break. Like I just take a break from listening to music, making music. I'll like go out on a walk, maybe take a hike for a few days, like all this kind of escape, clear my thoughts. Kind of like sniffing some coffee grounds after sniffing all the shampoo in the shampoo store, kind of resetting, And then also sometimes, just exposing myself to good art, going and watching a good movie, going through an art exhibit, like in Portland, the art museum, or, anywhere. I've been to I think it's called the MoMA in New York, and it has some of the most amazing art places, like art exhibits, and I got so inspired when I was there. And I think that's a big thing, is like artists inspire artists, and it's like an endless cycle. And so like whenever I'm feeling like it's such a block that I don't know if I get over it, oftentimes I'll listen to lots of music, sometimes some oldies, like I'll put on some Beatles and I'll think like, how did they find their way around this like certain niche they're working with, and like, I know a lot of other artists that I really look up to and love have done that exact same thing. Like Frank Ocean has gone on record to say that he has listened to lots of videos and albums when he's been stuck, on like what to do with his song. And so I kind of just, for a lot of it, I do listen to other music, and I just think like, okay, how did they seemingly get around that? And like, I don't really try to copy or emulate other artists. I think that sometimes you might hear some other artists, influence in my music, absolutely, like you do with anyone. But I kind of try to be unique, I feel like.
Yeah, it's important. It's important to try to stay unique, And it's tough because we're all influenced by each other and musicians and such.
Mm.
Like you could argue that, the last, 100 years of musicians have been influenced by Beethoven or whatever,
And I mean, probably true, I guess. Like, I mean, if you're really like mathematically speaking, like that makes sense, I guess.
Sure, but that's why it always comes back to the individual, because there's no one like you, You were born here by yourself, and you're your own person.
And one thing I've always said to everyone who I met, who I've made music with, or I've listened to music with, or even you, I'll tell this to you, if you have any passion or love for music at all in your life, I genuinely think you should give it your all at least once, for the one time, to try and make something, like try to make some song or something. Because I think that everyone has something unique to put out there. They just might not know it yet, or have the confidence, or think that they have good enough voice or something. Like, God, man, you should have heard my music when I was first starting like 5 years ago. My vocals were shit. Like, I never went to vocal training. I had to train my own voice by mimicking artists and like singing along, and just like learning how can I hold this note without having my voice fucking crack live and stuff like that. So, I mean, I think, yeah, like you're saying, artists inspire artists.
If you were to go to school for music, how important would it be to you, everything that you've already made?
I mean, I think going to school for music would be amazing. I feel like that time has likely already passed. I mean, maybe not, I don't know, but...
It's never too late.
True.
But it's how important it is to you,
I've never really thought that music theory is a necessary thing to learn when you want to make music. I think that just the ability to feel music and kind of have things come to you, ideas come to you, is the most important part of making music. Like being able to kind of hear a song and be like, okay, let's play it back. Let's like hear some little divots I can get into. Like I think that just being able to put something out is like more important than, like, of course, music theory will help, obviously. Like, especially if you're a producer, you need to learn like how to end a note on the right, like right closure and stuff like that. Like there are sometimes rules, but I think the fun of it is breaking those rules.
That resonates with me quite a bit. Do you know Jacob Collier? He's a musician out of Britain.
I've heard the name, yes. Is he big? Is he like an indie artist? What is he?
He's fairly big. He's kind of a jazz R&B musician, kind of like a prodigy.
Jacob Collier.
Jacob Collier.
He have that song called "Time Alone with You"?
Yeah.
I love that song. That's on my playlist. Oh my god. Yeah, man. He's a cool artist. Really cool.
I bring him up because he says something really profound. Because he's like really educated in music theory and all that. But on one of his live streams on Instagram years ago, someone asked him and he said, you know, you can either go to school and educate yourself and make good music, or you can just do what you're doing and make good music. There's no like right answer, you know?
Yeah, I think it's like situational always. Like, and I think also it's just subjective. Some people think it's good music, some people think it's bad music, some people think it's amazing and next level, some people think it's garbage, you know. I think that's the beauty of music too, is like there's something for everyone, you know.
Exactly. And opinions are like assholes, everyone has one.
Yep. That's a good line right there.
You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, it goes back to the individual and what it means to you. And, you know, there is nobody quite like you, and I think the country was founded by this principle of individuality, in a sense of that, you know, we can be the best version of ourselves without having to compare all the time, you know. And I think that happens a lot in the industry. Musicians can compare each other, and then they get stuck in this, like, you know, this loop, if you will, of trying to be, well, I'm not going to be the next Elvis, so like, you know, but like, why not be the next version of you?
For a second, and I know you haven't asked, but I'm just going to bring it up anyway. I'm going to go over a few of my influences, just like musically and then just pop culturally and stuff.
Yeah.
One of my biggest is Pharrell Williams, the man, the myth, the legend. Like, where do we even start with him? Like, he's one of those people who, like, man, like, I've loved almost everything he's ever made. And one of the things that I've really loved about him is that he always seems to have so much charisma and so much spunk in every interview he's been in, and like every like little backstage set photo and stuff. Like, he just seems to be always so happy doing what he does and helping out artists around him. Like he just produced the new Clips album, which is fucking amazing. Like some of the most best beats I've ever heard in my life, not gonna lie. Like Avengers level beats. And like him, like one of my most favorite quotes by him, probably one of my most favorite quotes about music ever, is you gotta always stay hungry if you want to make it. Like, even if you have millions of monthly listeners and you think that you're like, okay, I can relax now for a few years, just like not even give a fuck. If you really want to be the legend that you want to be, or like you dream to be, if that's your dream, you have to stay hungry. You have to act like you still haven't made it. Even when you have millions of dollars, when you have billions of dollars, when you have private jets, whatever the fuck you want, you gotta act like you're still making your first song. Like you have, like if you want to stay relevant in today's music scape. And I really, really agree with that. I think that, I mean, we're seeing it now with many of the artists out who like continue to evolve with each album and try a different persona or a different sound. Like, it is clear that like his influence has really, really been a big dent in the music industry, obviously in a good way.
Yeah.
But like he's one of the biggest influences of me. Maybe not like sonically totally, but just like his attitude towards music and love. But like I obviously love his music. A few other musical influences I would say are like for instance, like the attitude and like drive and not giving a fuckness of like the early Odd Future days. If you remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like that like it was just so angsty, edgy music, and it pissed off old white people, and it's just I love that. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. Like I love music that is sometimes just like a rebellion in a way. Like I love what MWA did. I love music that like almost feels like it is a weapon, because I think music can be a weapon. Absolutely. I mean, you can attack with it. You can defend with it. You can make your point with it. You can try to make peace in a song, you know, with someone or something or an idea or yourself. And that's what's beautiful about it. Is like music can really be whatever you want it to be. And you know, there's so many artists that I've listened to that like there's a lot of artists just here in Corvallis that I'm really inspired by. Like I was talking about Pope Cyrus, the guy who helped me make my most recent album. Really inspired by him and a lot of his solo works as well. There's a few other really, really great artists and bands around here. Too many to name them all, that I've really looked up to. But like a lot of like just classic. One really big artist like I sonically draw a lot of inspiration from is I always get her pronunciation wrong. It's like Sade. Did I say it right?
Sade?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sade. She like her music to me is like some of the most legendary R&B music ever. I just love like the atmosphere that she always has on these songs. It like feels like you're stepping into like this completely different dimension almost when you're listening to her music. And I've really, really tried to do like a similar thing where it's like I want my music to be very atmospheric and kind of have its own dreamy vibe to it. And you know, sometimes I'll purposely make my songs not have like any harmony layers because I want it to be spacey. I want it to be dreamy. I want it to feel like it's kind of in an abyss, you know, floating around with you. So like, for instance, she's a huge inspiration. Her different albums. And then also like a few recent artists. I'm trying to think of like who's been really going off recently. I mean, obviously Tyler the Creator, but I mean, I feel like he's a very stereotypical like a reference.
He's good though.
He's great.
He's damn good.
He's an amazing guy. Recently, he's been kind of. Sometimes he acts like a prick on interviews, but it makes sense. I mean, he probably is fed up sometimes.
He's caught a lot of flack. People talking crap about him.
Yeah,
you know, over
and
Twitter.
also people just obsessing and slobbing on his knob and shit. He gets annoyed with that.
Can't blame him.
Yeah. I don't know, like who else has been like really out there? I'm trying to think, because like I know that there's so many more influences that are like so prominent.
What was the first musician you listened to? Like, let's say like when you were younger and you heard a song and it just like connected. Like, whoa, something deep in you.
So this is kind of corny, but one of my first, like the first live shows I ever actually went to was my one of my birthday shows, like one of my first ever like live shows I attended as an audience member. You know, it was at the Moda Center, Portland, and it was actually Coldplay's tour. And I know it's kind of corny, but
no, not at all.
I love Coldplay.
They're very talented.
Yeah, especially their older stuff. I mean, I know that their new stuff is cool too, but their older stuff especially resonated with me, especially their album, A Rush of Blood to the Head. That album probably will always be one of, if not my favorite albums of all time. I just think it's like such a profound and beautiful and like interesting statement about just like life and like just loss and like grief and like there's so many emotions in one. And I remember listening to that album to and from going to like on the beach drive with my parents, and it's like has like the nostalgic factor as well. And a lot of Coldplay, Chris Martin stuff does have that. Oh, that reminds me of an influence. Gorillaz, huge influence. Kind of in a different vein than Coldplay, but I don't know why. It reminded me of Damon Albarn. But I love Gorillaz. I love how like he is kind of like what I'm trying to do, where he like brings people together and just makes like wacky, crazy shit, like new genre every damn release. It's like this is a rap song, like a hype rap song. Now we're dropping a hyperpop track with JPEG Mafia and MLS. what's going on? And then next thing, we're dropping like an 80s track called Aries with like, you know, and then we have Elton John and Atlantic Lack on a track together. Like, what the hell is going on? Like, I love just the experimentation of Gorillaz. That's always been like one of my main inspirations, and how successful they have been. I mean, it is a virtual band ran by one man. Like, that is crazy. And he like, his best friend does all the visuals, but he does all the music, and it's like crazy to me that like they're such a good team, and like have created such a huge cult following. It's actually amazing, and I kind of dream of doing something like that someday, of just like being able to do whatever the fuck I want with music and bring whoever the hell I want on board for like a project, and then drop this crazy ass album of like totally different genres like every song. And I mean, yeah, it's kind of a whiplashy, and it is difficult to do stuff like that, especially at this moment, because it's like you kind of have to find your niche, you know, kind of stick to a sound, it feels like sometimes, but I don't really do that. I don't really do that, I feel like, already, so. But yeah, huge inspirations from all these people. But sorry, were you saying something before I could cut you off? My bad.
No, but I will say that, you know, maybe quite the contrary. The variation that you do is what your fans like about you, you know, versus just staying purely in one sound. You have a lot of variation in your music.
Yeah, like Cooper is a very different album from Infatuation. And like Infatuation is like basically almost like a study on like feelings of like, oh, is this love or am I just infatuated with someone? Kind of a basic moral, but like back when I was 18, 17, I thought it was cool. And then now with Oregon Bunny is a really interesting one because it is a character study, and it is a direct character study on me, and it's actually me a little bit kind of dogging on myself, and almost straight up being like, yeah, I admit I have been a horrible man before. Like, yes, I have been a pretty crummy person. I have been a whore. I have been someone who has made people cry. I have been someone who has failed to pay attention to social cues in my surroundings, and you know, fell victim to the consequences to that, and like kind of learning to grow out of that, and like that's what the album really represents. And then the music afterward, you know, has been a lot of just kind of having fun with it, like the singles.
Showing honesty through your music.
Yeah, I try my best to have some kind of deeper, like thematic thing with nearly every single song or every project I work on, just because I think that it's really more beautiful, and I love it when a song can be relatable to anybody, you know?
That's important, you know, especially when you want to connect with your fans and such, or connect with people in general.
And like so many people listen to music to like when they're dealing with emotions, sometimes they just listen to music that they think, you know, will fit that emotion they're feeling. And I think it's important to sometimes tap into all kinds of different emotions. Like, to me, that's what I focus on in my music, is how it makes you feel instead of what genre I'm trying to do, you know? I kind of focus on the feeling rather than putting it into a certain category, I guess.
Absolutely. I can relate to that. You know, this is why I do this show, is because I'm not necessarily even trying to get exposure, or trying to market off it or anything. This is basically just a way of documenting a conversation between me and another person, and getting to know that person, and saving that, you know, for others to see, you know, almost as an example, if you will, if we ever reach a point in our world where we forget how to communicate, you know?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. No, I love that idea. It's really cool. I mean, I had a YouTube channel for a while that I would just post random bullshit that I would edit with my friends in high school.
And that could be fun too, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, miss those days for real. But man, that's one thing I want to talk about for just a moment.
Please.
Since I've been a musician, especially, it feels like I've probably been more lonely overall than I've almost probably ever been in my life, to be real. Like, yeah, I have a couple friends, I have a whole team of people who help me set up these house shows, but those people aren't really like close with me. You know, they're more like these people I met at a party months ago, and ever since then they've just been kind of following me around, helping me set these things up. Also because they benefit from it too, because they get to get drunk and have fun with their friends, and also they get to perform if they want to and stuff like that. But yeah, like I feel like since I've started really becoming serious with my music, a lot of people kind of just distance themselves from me, whether it be because I just didn't want to be associated or look like they're associated, or I don't know, I guess that's also just, your 20s, you just kind of go through the change of like, high school friends are kind of gone now, at least for the most part. Like I still connect with a couple, but yeah, I mean, I guess that has nothing really to do with my music life, but it's just something to point out is like, you kind of have to be ready to give it all away.
Yeah, I think it's really common, especially with men. There's an epidemic of male loneliness in this generation, and that's something that a lot of people don't always talk about, or at least men don't talk about it. Women are awesome; they always talk about it, like, oh, our men are feeling more lonely and stuff, especially this generation. But yeah, I think it's really common, and I think it happens every day. I think people just feel lonely, and that's why it's important for us to gather together, more and more, because you just never know. I mean, suicides have been up quite a bit, I've heard, in the last couple of years.
Yeah, it's really sad. Just to open up a little on my family, my mom and dad are both therapists, and my mom works for juvenile detention therapy, so she works with students or kids who have, they're not doing horrible enough crimes to be put into prison, but like one more crime, they're going to go to prison. And so she's trying to kind of rehabilitate them and help them out. So she's seen a lot, especially with the mental health things that we're talking about. My dad is a flight team counselor, and I don't know if you know what that is, but it's basically someone who comes in, it's basically kind of a school counselor, but especially for student deaths or facility deaths or teachers. And he sees on the weekly suicides, and he has to go in and deal with that, which is an insane job to have, by the way, like hearing about that pretty much every day at work. I mean, I don't know how I'd even handle that. I'd probably be like crying every second.
Me too.
Yeah, but like, I don't know, being raised by them, I feel like I just learned to be gentle with almost everybody around me, I feel like, which I think is just something that everyone needs to be a little more of, and just be patient and realize that not everyone has it figured out, or just also realize that some people just look like they have it figured out, and they don't. And like the way I see it is like we are all always figuring it out.
Yeah, life's an ongoing thing till it stops.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I've dealt with suicides in my family. Even most recently.
My utmost condolences. I'm really sorry, dude.
So I only bring that up because I feel that with you. I feel and that tends to make me feel lonely at times.
No, seriously. I mean, suicide is a tragic epidemic. I'm pretty sure it was like the leading cause of people from like death from people 18 to 24 as of 2025. So it's a huge problem.
Yeah.
And honestly, like I feel like in many ways we're kind of creating a world continually where, I'm not trying to say like suicide is the answer or anything, I'm just saying that we are slowly getting to a very insufferable point in the world, in where we're at with politics, where we're at with human rights all over the world, where we're at with these wars, where we're at with relations, where we're at with social media, the internet, AI. It's like everything is happening so fast, it can sometimes feel very powerless, honestly. You can feel like you're so small.
Yeah, I even find myself sometimes, doom scrolling on Instagram, right?
Dude, don't we all? Like,
right? And I'm looking, and I start comparing in my head subconsciously, and I'm like, oh my goodness.
Exactly. I mean, even when you don't think you're comparing, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm not comparing. I'm just looking. It's just kind of something that happens subconsciously. You are as you look and scroll. through all social media, really, at this point.
Yeah, well, thanks for going there with me. That was it's a heavy subject, heavy place to go, you know, and I don't know, not all talk shows go talking about that kind of thing. You know?
Well, I'm very open with, like, all sorts of discussion, dude, so, like, literally anything I'll talk about, to be honest, for the most part.
Exactly. No, and I bring it up because that's why self-expression is so important. You know, if we can help teach each other how to, you know, express ourselves better, then that's what's going to keep it going. That's what's going to keep everything going. You know, expression is vital to keeping us wanting to, I don't know, thrive.
Oh, yeah.
So, but I suppose, I suppose we could wrap it up there. I mean, we've got an hour of material there.
Yeah.
I could talk to you for hours, though. You have a lot to say.
Yeah, dude, you as well.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank
Appreciate you a
Thank
lot.
you.
Yeah, real cool dude.
Yo, you hear some of your own, bro?